Welcome to The Explainer. In 2024, the rulebook for construction safety in Malaysia got a major overhaul. So today, we're going to break down exactly what that means for you and turn those new legal duties into a clear, actionable game plan for your projects.
So you're looking at the official DOSH guideline for the new CDM 2024 regulations. If you're in the construction industry, this document is a must-know. But here's the thing, and it's a big one. This is just the starting point.
And that really gets to the heart of the matter, doesn't it? It's the gap between knowing the rules and having a concrete, defendable system that actually works. That's the exact question we're tackling today. All right, let's dive in. Here's our roadmap for how we're going to break this down, moving from the legal jargon to what you actually need to do on site.
Okay, first things first, let's get everyone on the same page about the new ground rules. This is all about what the Department of Occupational Safety and Health, or as we all know it, DOSH, has laid out.
The best way to think of the DOSH guideline is as the official rulebook. Its main job is to explain your legal duties and define all those key documents. You know, the pre-construction information, the construction phase plan, the safety and health file, all designed to make projects safer.
But here's where things start to get a little tricky. A lot of professionals are finding that while the guideline is a fantastic rulebook, it's not exactly a playbook. And that's the real difference, isn't it? The guideline is descriptive. It tells you what your duties are. But what you really need is an operational system that's actionable, one that shows you how to perform those duties and, just as importantly, how you can prove you've done it.
So, how do we bridge that gap between knowing and doing? Well, the solution is to build an operational system. Think of it as your compliance playbook, a complete audit-ready engine that turns those legal obligations into a repeatable process.
Now, a central idea in this playbook is something called the golden thread. It's all about creating this continuous, integrated flow of safety and risk information so nothing gets lost as it moves through every single stage of your project.
And this right here shows that flow perfectly. Information isn't just created and then forgotten in a folder. It moves logically, right from the pre-construction info into the design risk assessments, which then informs the construction phase plan, gets archived in the safety and health file, and it even helps inform the safety of the building for its entire life cycle.
Okay, theory is great, but let's see how this actually works in practice. We're going to compare the guideline's abstract rules to a system's concrete actions in 3 supercritical areas.
So the law is very clear on this. Anyone with a duty, whether you're a client, a designer, or a contractor, you have to be competent. But the guideline doesn't really specify how you're supposed to measure and prove that.
And this slide really hits it home. The guideline gives you a nice acronym, SKT, but a system gives you a SKET-OC matrix with actual proficiency levels from 1 to 5 and a validation process. That's the difference between a vague requirement and measurable, defendable evidence.
And it's a similar story here. The guideline requires designers to manage hazards, or bahaya reka buntuk, but it doesn't give you a systematic method for actually doing that risk assessment.
A system, on the other hand, provides a structured process, like the DRA Trinity, which breaks risk assessment into conceptual, detailed, and pre-construction stages. It gives you the tools, like a risk matrix, turning a general rule into a fully structured, repeatable process.
So clients have a legal duty to take reasonable steps to monitor compliance. But what do reasonable steps actually look like on a day-to-day basis?
Well, instead of just general suggestions like holding meetings, a system gives you a formalized, measurable governance process. We're talking specific tools, monthly governance packs, audit checklists, project dashboards, and formal compliance documents that create a clear, traceable record.
So what's the bottom line here? Why is it so critical to have an actual operational system instead of just a copy of the guideline sitting on your shelf?
Well, first, the financial and legal stakes are incredibly high. Non-compliance could lead to fines of up to $500,000 ringgit. That alone is a pretty powerful motivator.
But you know, it's about so much more than just avoiding fines. A solid system protects your clients, it makes sure you're always ready for an audit, and most importantly, it leads to safer projects for everyone. It really turns these regulations from a headache into a smart way of working.
Okay, let's bring this all together. What's the one key takeaway you need to remember as you start tackling CDM 2024?
Here it is, right here in a nutshell. The DOSH guideline is the legal minimum. It's non-negotiable.
But a practical, traceable, and integrated system is what makes your compliance truly robust and, maybe most importantly, defendable.
Ultimately, this whole shift is about empowerment. It's about building real capability within your own team, giving them the processes and the tools to manage safety effectively, from that very first design sketch all the way to the final project handover.
And that leaves us with one final question to consider. If an auditor showed up at your office tomorrow, would your framework be ready? That's the standard we should all be aiming for in this new regulatory landscape. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.